7 decades have passed since the end of World War II, but the history of that era is still a constant source of tension between Japan and China, as researchers from Kyoto University recently discovered.
This February, the university released a digital archive of more than 38,000 photos taken in northern China during the Japanese occupation. And while it caused excitement among academics in both countries, Chinese internet users weren't so pleased. NHK World's Yao Xinru has the story.
A Japanese woman in kimono is seen taking a walk with a Chinese friend in North China in 1939. The wall behind them is decorated with the flag of the puppet regime and the slogan calling for Sino-Japanese unity. This picture shows another slogan justifying Japan's military expansion with the words, "Japan is the only salvation for China." But not all the photos have such a clear propaganda purpose. Many are simple snapshots of daily life. In northern China in the 1930s, not many locals could afford cameras. These photographs were taken by Japanese occupiers. In 1937, the Second Sino-Japanese War started after the two countries clashed near the Marco Polo Bridge. As Japan occupied more of the country, it established the North China Railway Company in collaboration with the local puppet regime. The company hired cameramen to take tens of thousands of photos of life in occupied China, harmonious images designed for public consumption back home in Japan. Of course, they offered an incomplete picture. Due to censorship and restricted access, the company's photographers didn't document the harsher realities of the occupation. This image of a train wreck was left without a caption, so we cannot tell if it shows an accident or sabotage by the Chinese. After the war, the pictures were quietly stowed away at the Kyoto University. Only a handful of insiders knew about them, until their existence was revealed to the public in 2016.
From the perspective of people in China today, this archive is a negative legacy. There's no getting around that fact. But at the same time, it's also an important historical asset.
Professor Toshihiko Kishi says this is one of the world's largest stockpiles of images depicting the Japanese occupation. The images reflect an old China that has now been lost. This was taken in Beijing. It shows Chongwenmen, a gate in the southeast of the city that dated back to the 15th century, but was torn down in the 1960s. This depicts a traditional rain-making ceremony where people have gathered with willow leaves on their heads. The images capture places and customs that are now disappearing due to modernization, making them valuable to academics. It took Professor Kishi and his colleagues 8 years to raise funds and put the entire archive online. In an introduction, they emphasize that the photos are a byproduct of Japan's invasion of China. The North China Railway Archive was launched this February. As soon as the archive was released, it caused an online sensation in China, but not in the way Kishi and his colleagues had hoped. A tag on Weibo describing it as pictures of Japan's aggression in China received 420 million page views, and the comments were mostly negative.
They released the pictures because they are proud of their history of conquest.
These are only selected pictures for whitewashing. The bloody ones are hidden.
I was surprised and shocked, but we understand that this is most Chinese people's honest reaction when it comes to the history of the Japanese invasion.
NHK approached several Chinese scholars, all of whom said the archive was extremely valuable. However, None of them wanted to be interviewed on camera for fear of becoming the target of an online backlash. They have good reason to worry. The words Japan and history are a toxic combination that can easily stir up anti-Japanese sentiment among the general public. Professor Mao Danqing of Kobe International University is concerned about this trend. He's been involved in cultural exchanges between Japan and China for many years. From 2011 to 2015, Mao was the chief editorial writer of a magazine called It Is Japan, published in China, and covering a wide range of topics related to Japan. But when he tried to produce a special feature on Japan and China's dark past, he ran into resistance.
For the 23rd issue, we planned to do a feature on the First Sino-Japanese War, because it was the 120th anniversary in 2014. We contacted research scholars and found some relevant documents with a view to recreating the cultural atmosphere of the time. But we didn't run the story in the end because an invisible force said no.
According to Mao, the magazine's publishing company put a stop to the plan for fear of causing trouble. Politics and history are a minefield for publishers in China.
Even scholars who appreciate the true value of this archive may consider the climate for free expression in today's China, because there is not much space for free speech there. Many people are avoiding speaking out.
Despite the online criticism, Professor Kishi's work has also produced positive results. One academic from China contacted him about some photos in the archive.
These are pictures of Yuanming Yuan, an old summer palace in Beijing.
This picture may be the last record of a bridge that was lost in the 1950s.
A researcher who has connected Yuanming Yuan asked if it would be possible to get copies of the pictures. Since they are an enormously valuable document, we were happy to help.
Kishi says he has received offers from at least 3 Chinese organizations that wish to hold exhibitions of the archive in China. Many scholars in both countries would like to bridge their differences instead of widening the gap. And Kishi hopes the archive can create one such opportunity. Yao Xingru, NHK World, Kyoto.